Hello everybody, this is John from John's Home Restaurant and Tavern. Today we're cooking red beans and rice. I've already got the red beans with the quick soak method. You just follow the recipe on the back for quick soak. I'll be draining these in a minute and rinsing them. And then we'll go over here and I'll show you what's going in it. Okay, what we're going to be adding to our red beans and rice, we've got a bell pepper cut up, 2 ribs of celery cut up, and 1 medium onion diced up. It's all diced. We're fixing to saute that in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Also, we've got cayenne pepper, sage, thyme, 2 bay leaves, and I use no salt Cajun seasoning. That way I can control the salt that I put in, so we'll be salting it later as we taste it. I'm using 4 different meats here. A lot of times just use andouille sausage, but this is andouille. This is a hot smoked sausage. This is crawfish smoked pork sausage. And this is tasso that I made myself out of a pork butt, piece of pork butt. Really good heavy smoke. And we're going to be adding 3 cloves of garlic. So what I'll do, I'm going to rinse the beans, get them started. I'll add, saute the vegetables and add that in. And we'll let that cook about 2.5 hours. Then we'll come back and add the meat in about the last 30 minutes. And then we'll make the rice to go with it before it's all finished. All right, we've done our beans, our red beans. These are small red beans. The quick soak method. They've brought them to a boil, boiled them for a couple of minutes, and then they've been setting for an hour. So now we're going to drain them, rinse them. We're going to put them back in the pot. All right. Now to this, we're going to add 2 cups of water. You may have to add more. That may not be enough, but that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to add 1 can of chicken broth. All right. I think we're going to probably need at least another cup or 2 of water. So okay, we've got the beans. That's probably about 3.5 cups of water and 1 14-ounce can of chicken broth. We're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we'll turn it down. We'll put a lid on it, and you want the lid, when it comes to a boil, you turn it down, you want the lid to have a little gap in it. But we'll get there in a minute. For now, I'm fixing to start on the vegetables. I'm gonna get the pan hot. About 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, we're going to add our spices into our beans. And later on, we may come back and add a little more Cajun seasoning. We'll just taste it later to see if we need it. And after the beans are practically done, that's when I will add the salt to it. And probably add black pepper, but I'm not going to salt them until they're basically done. So we'll let that come up to a boil. Okay, our olive oil is just about ready. Starting to get a little bit of a shimmer. It's ready. And another thing, when you do your celery, if your celery has leaves on it, by all means, chop those up and put it in. The leaves carry quite a bit of flavor, and just adds to the overall appearance of the dish and taste. We'll let this simmer for a few minutes, and then probably after about 4 or 5 minutes, we'll add the garlic in. All right, we're cutting up the tasso that I made. Look at that. Heavily smoked, seasoned, cured. This is some really, really good stuff. I don't live in Louisiana. I don't have access to this, so I actually had to learn how to make it myself.
Maybe you'll show us in a video.
Yeah, it's a really good seasoning meat for anything you want to do. Red beans and rice, any kind of bean dish, greens.
That sounds Cajun. You like Cajun food.
I love Cajun food. Not Cajun. I grew up in the Mississippi Delta. I had access to Cajun food. I love any kind of food, really. But Cajun food is just one of those that's got a flavor that's so intense. Any Cajun dish you get is so intense in flavor that it's just wonderful. And I hope I'm doing justice to Cajun dishes by doing this.
Well, you've watched a lot of Cajun cooking shows too.
I have. Grew up watching Justin Wilson. Loved the guy. I mean, I was a kid, and as a kid, 8, 9, 10 years old, I was watching cooking shows, and Justin Wilson was always one of my favorites. So yeah, I hope I just do this dish justice, because I love Cajun dishes. Okay, we're fixing to add our garlic in. Our beans are coming up to a boil now. Ouch, that's hot. But we're fixing to add this stuff in once the garlic gets about a minute or so in. All right, our beans are boiling. We're fixing to add in the Trinity, which is your celery, onion, and bell pepper, and garlic. That right there is some good flavor. And like I said, about the last 30 minutes, we're gonna cook this about 2.5 hours on a low simmer. And about the last 30 minutes, we're going to add the meat. So I'm going to add the lid, and I'm going to leave it a little bit of a gap here for it. Got it turned down, so it's going to simmer. All right, we're going to go ahead and cook our rice. Really easy to do. 1 cup of rice, 1.5 cups of water. I've got the water boiling, and we're going to add the rice. Now this is basmati rice. I already had this, so that's what I'm going to use. You can use long grain rice. So we put this in. We're going to let that come up to a boil. Once it comes back to a boil, we're going to reduce the heat to a very low simmer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we'll cut it off, move it off the heat. Our beans are soft now. We still have about another hour to go on them, but since they're soft, I'm going to go ahead and add my salt to it. And you can season now and come back and re-season later. You just taste it a little bit later on, a little bit of black pepper. We'll give that a stir. Let that cook a little bit, and then we'll taste it, see if we need any more salt. All right, it's been 20 minutes on our rice, so I'm going to fluff it with a fork. As you can see, it's 1 cup of rice, and this is with long grain rice too. 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of water. You can use chicken broth if you like for a little bit richer flavor. So that's the rice. All right, we've still got about 45 minutes to an hour left. I'm gonna go ahead and add the meat to it. And this is 4 different kinds of meat. Tasso that I made myself, andouille, a hot smoked link sausage that my son gave us, and then a crawfish smoked pork sausage. We're going to add this in now, and we're going to let this cook about 45 minutes or so to an hour. And we'll come back, and as you can see, the beans are starting to get a little bit creamy. I've taken out the 2 bay leaves. We don't want those in there anymore. So I'm going to give it a taste and just see how we are on seasoning. I think probably a little bit more salt, not a lot. A little bit more black pepper. And I'm going to add just a touch more of the Cajun seasoning. And this is no salt Cajun seasoning. Usually I make my own. I had this little bit left over, so I'm going to use it up. And like I said, as you can see, the beans are starting to thicken up a little bit, and that's what you want. You want your beans to get nice and creamy. We'll probably come in here and mash up a little bit of them to make it a little creamier, but we got a little ways to go. I can tell you now, it's smelling great. All right, the beans are starting to thicken quite a bit. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to mash just a few of these beans with a potato masher, and that's going to actually thicken it up a little bit more. Because when we put it on our rice, we don't want it to be really soupy. We want it to be a little bit thick. So just a little mashing of some of these beans. And we probably got, they're cooking a little quicker than I thought. So we're probably gonna be done at the 2-hour mark, not 2.5. And that's why I'm gonna go ahead and mash up some of these beans now, because it's already thickening quite a bit. And this is just gonna make them nice and creamy. All right, our red beans are done. We're gonna serve up some of this basmati rice in a bowl. Now we're going, and look how, see, that's how you want to cook them till they're creamy. And you may need to mash a few up to get them as creamy as you want. But that's really good right there. That's nice and creamy. Plenty of meat in there. So there you have it. So now we're going to garnish it with a little fresh green onion out of our garden. There you have it. All right, we've served up a bowl here. Put a little fresh green onion on top as a garnish from the garden. And I like it to add a little bit of Tabasco. That's my favorite hot sauce of all hot sauces, so I'm not gonna put a lot, just a little bit. And we're serving this with some jalapeno cheddar bread that my wife makes. It's jalapeno cheddar sourdough bread, really good. But if you don't have that, which you're not gonna have my wife's, but anyhow, a good French bread or Italian bread will be great with this. So we're gonna give it a little taste here and see how it is. That right there is spot on. That is really good. So I really hope y'all will try this recipe. And if you enjoyed this, please hit like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.